In this session, I'm going to share with you the most powerful ways. Trust me, I've tried like thousands of ways, and I'll share with you the most powerful and proven ways to raise your frequency. And before doing that, I want to share with you how I actually came across them. Okay, so if you like this video, if it really helps to grow and elevate, I would highly recommend to subscribe to our channel, because we are putting these kind of powerful transformational trainings every single week, constantly, and they will help you become a vibrational match to your manifestation as fast as the speed of light. So you want to pay a lot of attention and listen to all the powerful tools here. So when I understood that how law of attraction works, and you are attracting based on how you're feeling, and you have to feel that feeling all the time, one thing that I really struggled with, that when I would do my meditation in the morning, I would really feel it. Like I would feel it. I'm living there. I can see myself there. It's so powerful. But the moment I got out of the meditation mat, I got off the meditation, I was back in my old patterns and back in my old thinking and constant thoughts after the other. And we think 70,000 thoughts a day, right? So what I realized was that I was really good at maintaining the frequency when I was in meditation, or I was journaling, or I was doing something very conscious. But when I went back in my life, and real life really starts after meditation mat, I was back in the old patterns. And funnily enough, my thoughts every single day were pretty much the same. Like I was thinking about the same things, feeling the same feelings. That's when I realized that when we talk about operating on that frequency and increasing your frequency, it is not just like a temporary change, because your magnet is all on all the time. Law of attraction is working all the time. So what we want to understand is that how do we have that permanent shift in our frequency, where we don't have to consciously try, where on autopilot we are operating on that frequency, on autopilot we are that person. But one thing what I realized was that there is a huge misconception in the online space and in the coaching industry about frequency. And being on that frequency doesn't mean that you're going to be happy all the time. Because let's face it, like when you're living in your dream home, or when you have the money that you want to manifest, or when you have that relationship, practically you won't be happy all the time. Like if you have that amount of money and you just got your finger stuck in the drawer and you open it and it's bleeding and it's hurting, you won't be happy. Would you be happy? Like if somebody calls you and tells you really rude stuff, although you have that kind of money, you're not going to be happy. It's going to impact you as well. If something happens, if somebody dies, somebody you really love, something bad happens to them, you're not going to be happy. So the first thing what we want to really understand is that it's not about the happiness level. It's not about the fact that you're going to be happy all the time. What it's about is that you are going to become that version of you. That means, how would you be in practical terms, in reality, when you have that thing that you want to manifest? This is about matching the frequency, that you become that. Because if you try to feel that feeling in your meditation, after that you're going to unplug from that and you'll go back to your pattern. So the thing which I really discovered was that there is a program, there is a mental program which goes beyond mind after a certain time, and it gets stored in your body. So from subconscious it becomes unconscious, and it's no more even a mental program. It becomes an identity program, which is actually controlling how you're feeling all the time, what you're thinking all the time, how you behave, what kind of actions you do, how much you procrastinate, how you respond to different situations, what are your reactions, all those things. So when we are told that just feel the feeling, we are not told that it requires, like Neville Goddard used to say, mental transformation. It's not just about feeling the feeling. It is a mental, scientific process which goes far beyond mental. It goes to the identity. What it really requires is identity shift. Because even if you try to fight that program temporarily and go in your meditation and really observe your thoughts and observe what you're thinking, you can do that for 15 minutes, 20 minutes, half an hour, but then you're back, because we are living our life on autopilot, and we need to do that. Because imagine, like, if you have to think through every single thing you're doing, like when you're doing in your meditation, you're observing your thoughts, you're observing all those things. If you have to do that for every single action in your life, like you wake up and you're thinking how I'm going to change my clothes, let me think of all the steps, then you're thinking how I'm going to grab the glass of water, then you're thinking you will have a huge headache, right? So we are programmed to operate on autopilot. What we do is we have a routine, we operate on autopilot, we wake up in the morning, we do certain things. So we are thinking most of the time about other things while we are doing things, while you're driving your car, while you're changing your clothes, while you're cleaning your teeth. What we want to understand is that we want to change the mental program, because that puts us on autopilot mode, and we need to be in autopilot mode to be able to perform, to be able to live our life. We can't think through everything, and that's why in order to do that, we have to shift that mental program, then identity program, which is actually enabling us to operate on that frequency naturally, because you cannot fight the program. It's like if you expect iPhone 16 to work, iPhone 11 to work as iPhone 16, it's not going to do that. Okay, because it's programmed to operate in a certain way. You are also programmed. So when you're forcing yourself to feel the feeling and try to be in the feeling, and then you keep coming back to your old pattern, and you blame your physical circumstances that this is why I can't feel the feeling. Look at my physical reality. It's not your physical reality that's causing that. It's your mental program that's causing that. Because if you look at, I always give this example that if you're looking in the sky, it's daytime, the sun is shining, it's white, the sky is white, or maybe a bit blue depending on the clouds, but that in the nighttime it's going to be in the night. Like there is no question about that. Although you cannot see any signs of night or moon yet, maybe you can see like a really dim moon, but you have no proof, like you have no signs looking at the sky that it's going to be night until accept the fact that it's going to be night, because it, right? So what really controls us is our knowing. Even if I ask you, what do you think is the probability that it will be nighttime after the day? You'll say 100%, but you cannot see any signs. You cannot see in your physical reality, but you know it. So what is really controlling is your knowing, and your knowing is your mental program, what you're conscious of being right now. And this is not something you can just control and force yourself. You have to really shift that identity, have that scientific process of mental transformation, which requires certain steps and certain things to be done, right? So when we're talking about increasing your frequency, first of all, it doesn't mean increasing your happiness, because you can be very poor and you can be very happy. Okay, you may not have the thing you desire, or you may not even have the belief, and you can still be very happy because you're a happy person. That's your identity again. But it's about how you see you then will dictate your frequency on autopilot. So when I realized that, what the first step that I did to shift my identity, I said, I cannot change anything until I know what my current identity is, okay? So I looked at my circumstances and I realized, what experiences don't I like? Experience with money, maybe not the amount of money I desire, all the things. And I said, I took one step deeper. So not going outside and learning more, I went within and I said, what is my identity behind all those things? Like, how do I really see myself? And I started writing, like, I believe earning money is hard. I believe that you have to make some kind of sacrifice. That's my identity, that for me as a person, to attract a lot of money, I have to make some kind of sacrifice. I cannot live the life that I want to live. I have to compromise on my health. I have to compromise on my self-care. I started writing that. It's like, oh my God, no wonder I'm having these experiences in the physical. Then I started writing, like, it takes me longer. Why? Like all the like I identify myself as middle class. I see someone who really struggles with marketing. I am someone who thinks selling is not good, right? I'm someone who thinks if I'm selling, then I'm taking people's money away. I'm thinking I'm not good enough, right? I don't see myself serving a lot of people, right? So I had when I did this work, I had 97 of those, and I use the tools in my method called Breakthrough Method, which I teach in Wealth Fountain. But the underlying principle is you start seeing how you see you. And even we go through the deep meditations where you ask your heart where you don't love yourself enough, right? And your heart tells you that. You ask your sacral, right? What is going on there? Where you don't trust yourself with money, where you don't find it easy, where you don't trust your creativity and your logic and your intuition, right? Where you ask your throat, where you don't say what you want to say, where you don't express yourself, where you feel like you'll be judged or you can't say things, right? So you start to really connect with yourself and go within instead of going without. You don't go outside, you go within, and you start to write that down, and you start to become aware of what your current identity is. Most of that identity was created at a subconscious level when you were little, right? When we were little babies, you were just maybe crawling or cuddle them in a blanket, and we didn't even understand what was being fed into us. But our subconscious was wide open, and our conscious mind, where we could logic and say, it doesn't make sense when you're talking about money and fearing because there's so much money. It doesn't make sense you're saying money doesn't grow on trees because actually money is made of paper and paper grows on trees. Like, we couldn't question those things because our logical mind wasn't developed. Okay, so that's why what started to really happen was that we started to just accept everything without even knowing consciously what we are accepting. It just all went in within us. And by the time like we were 10, 11, 9, we start to find logic. Like, we're like, this doesn't make sense. This is a bit weird. Why we're thinking that way? The time was gone when everything was already implanted. Okay, so a lot of those things, when you'll find out, what you'll see is that you will have a human experience that you don't like, and instead of fighting it, instead of finding a solution outside of you, instead of finding the right strategy first, go with it and see where am I a match for that, because I hold that identity. Even for some people, life is so easy. Like, they get to have time for their fun, they get to watch movies, they get to have time for their self-care, and they're making so much money. Why is that? Because they have a different identity, right? Their identity is earning money is easy for them. Their identity is they don't have to sacrifice. So where your identity is not supporting, and the biggest hint is looking at your physical experience and then going within. Okay, and when you go within, you keep having lots and lots of things to peel off. And sometimes I see a lot of my clients get a bit like, this is so sad, I don't want to feel this way. But the greatest part is the moment you become aware, you have already questioned it, and within seconds I teach my clients to shift it. So you can shift it really fast once you know. Okay, so then you start to shift your identity, you start to change your identity, and there is a whole process of processing your emotions before you change it, because probably those things, because you have a lot of human experience pertaining that identity, you will have a lot of human experience and emotions stored in your body, like almost like a bruise, like the blood is clotted, your emotions are clotted there, and they need to be released by feeling them. Okay, once you do this process and you choose a new identity, then I teach a really powerful way. It's called identity activation, where what we do is you start to connect everything outside of you to your new identity. So you don't have to just wait for meditation to feel that feeling. In fact, when you wake up, what is the thing that you do that reminds you of who you are? So one of my clients said to me that the first thing when I wake up is I think about what is wrong in my life. Like, what are the things, what are the problems? That was her habitual thing. That was her like autopilot mode, right? So I said to her, why don't you put a jar next to you with all the like prompts, right? And you can write on the paper, my car, my dream home, the money that I want to manifest, the business, and you just pick one, and then you know that you're prompted to visualize that. Okay, you can even use your perfume in the outside of you to connect to the feeling of something. You can connect that feeling to a song, right? So I have manifested my business by embodying the identity of a successful entrepreneur through a song, right? So whenever I listen to that song, it brings all the images. And the beauty is that if you do it a couple of times, like let's say you play a song and you connect it to your dream home. So when the song plays, you're seeing yourself in your dream home, you're sitting there, you're having your coffee, or you're watching TV, or you have your office there. You start to bring those images. If you keep doing it for a few times, your mind will build a neural connection. Every time you play that song, that images will start coming in. automatically, right? So what you want to do is you want to build neural connection with things outside of you, and it might also require rearranging your outside world. So maybe there are things in your life, in your day, which brings you into pain, which brings you into like, oh my God, look at my life. You wanna either replace them with a new association, or do you wanna just not expose yourself to that anymore? Let's say you look at something, or you talk to a person who reminds you of something, or who talks to you negative, then can you minimize having the conversation with that person? Is it that you don't call that person as often, right? So what you want to do is you want to use activators in your day which are bringing the whole image. So when you're living because every money frequency, every amount of money that you want to manifest has a lifestyle that is associated with it, right? If you have certain amount of money, let's say if you're doing 10x of what you're doing right now, you will be living a certain kind of lifestyle. The amount of money has no meaning until you connect to that lifestyle and what it means for you. So what you can do is you can connect different activators to all aspects of that lifestyle. That means you're saying, when I'll wake up in the morning, I will drink coffee from this huge machine. So can you connect it to something? Can you connect it to your current coffee machine? Or can you connect it to a mug? Or can you connect it to the feeling of a song, right? And when I'll wake up in the morning, I will be sitting for a little bit and doing my meditation and just asking for guidance. Can you do that now? Or do you need money to do that? No, I don't need money to do that. Do it now. So how close can you get to that feeling in your physical, and where the other things you don't have right now because you don't have the money just yet, how can you create an association with those feelings? Okay, that is important. So let's say you're saying that I would go for a blow dry, and you like right now you're saying I don't have that. Okay, then can you imagine yourself by using a song, by using a perfume, or by using maybe there is a place where you would love to get it from, and you have their pamphlet where you can look at it and visualize. So how can the outside of you activate that feeling of the entire lifestyle by different aspects? And when you do that, automatically you will start living there because you have already removed the blocks. You have already removed the splinters which were stopping that. So you will start to live there automatically. Okay, and this is how you will step into the identity, become that version of you, and you will be living that as that person all day long. As you keep doing that, a point will come when you naturally just become that person, and it's such a subtle way that you become that person that when you look back, you'll realize, oh, actually I am that person. Actually, I haven't manifested money. I am living that life. And then you go for the next level, right? So when you start to use the activators throughout the day, it helps you tap into that identity, that feeling, and it reprograms your mind, and it trains your mind to think on that frequency all the time. And again, it doesn't mean you won't be sad. It doesn't mean you won't be frustrated. It doesn't mean you won't be annoyed. It doesn't even mean you won't have doubts. You will have all of that because that happens to every single person. So let's not tie loops that I have to climb that, I have to climb this hoop, I have to climb that. No, you are that person already. Just reminding yourself that you are that person. So you have been a millionaire all the way long. You're just reminding yourself of who you are. Okay, and you start to use these activators which are activating that feeling consciously all day long to the point where you become that person and you're like, oh wow. So when after a year, when I reflected at my life, the first money frequency that I manifested, I realized that I am living like that person. My life has changed like night and day. And it was so natural because I didn't go from here to like feeling the feeling. I took my whole being to that journey. It felt so natural. It felt like I've just grown into that person. And it's such a beautiful feeling. Okay? So I hope that helps. I'll see you soon. Bye.